Howdy, this is Doug. I got back from a rugby tournament trip last week, and I'm finally going over my bag and cleaning out some of the stuff. Let me get that exposure a little bit better. Basically, this is what I carried to tournaments. My favorite tool, little multi-function tool. Basically, it's a good thing to have. Two different sizes, one for small bolts, one for big bolts, that sort of thing. But most of the time I actually have tools like these dudes. Basically, this is a 1/2 inch, this is a 9/16. I like the fast ratchet box ends a lot. But I also have an assortment of different tools like a 3/8, 1/2 inch, 7/16, 5/8, 7/8, and 3/4 that I usually roam around with. Also, the benefit is I have two different types of chairs. I have an Eagle chair, and I also have a Vesco rugby wheelchair. So they each take a little bit different sizes. It's kind of annoying, but it does work. This is provided by Eagle. It's a long extension. It's great for the foot plate, but it also works with the Vesco chairs. I've also found like Park Multi-Tool. These guys, Park Tools, they actually have most of what you need. They are a little bit small. They don't provide a lot of leverage, but they do provide enough. Got other 9/16 floating around. Always carry a Leatherman or a Gerber multi-tool, because knives, saw, it's got a file, it's got like Phillips and flathead. The other thing that I always carry when I go to rugby tournaments is I've got usually use two of these and then one of those. They're just tire levers. The drawback to the metal tire levers when you're putting the tire back on, when you got them just where they need to push over to the top, these work better. Basically, I go inside the tire, link it, and push it. Takes a couple times, but these work better. They don't pinch the tire as much. Still get pinched tires or tubes, but you typically have better luck with those. The other thing that I typically have, I'm not always in my bag, but usually in my toolkit somewhere or in my car. This is also a cool tool, mainly because you can twist or ratchet, which is cool. More of a toy than anything else. I don't use it that often, but I have used it a couple times in weird situations. But that's the other tool that I do bring along. Do I like it? I don't know, but it works. Always have tape. So, anyone that plays rugby knows the importance of tape, being able to wrap your gloves onto your hand, keep them stable. Sorry, my kid keeps on running in and out of the door. Shut the door. It's cold. We just got snow. It's like 10 degrees outside, and she's playing in the snow like a weirdo. So this is something I do usually have. It's for your ratchet, for your belts. I like these a lot because I can just hook it with a finger and pull. Usually have a couple of those floating around. More tape. Almost always have a spare belt. I'm a big guy, so having a spare belt, M2 design makes these. They make it up to 16 inch. That's what I use for my waist. These are what I use. This is a 12 inch. This is what I use for my leg strapping. Benefit to this, if something breaks, you have a complete system, or you can just pillage, pull parts. I buy these as complete systems. Usually have 2 or 3 different sizes with me. I also have 2 or 3 different sizes of these guys. The benefit to this, having different sizes, this is a ratchet, where for those don't know what the heck what I'm talking about. This goes in here, it locks into place, and then you release it right there. It locks you into your chair, allows you to wiggle and squirm without falling out of your chair, which is huge. Scissors. Got to stab someone? No, actually, benefit of scissors, if you're like me, I get stuck in my tape every once in a while, and it's good just to be able to cut them out. It's always important to have scissors with any kit that you're making yourself. Biggest thing I do recommend is this dude. It's a little 120, 140 PSI rechargeable air pump. There are some that are like an air gun type thing where this one, you set the PSI, let it inflate. Super easy. You could be doing something else while getting this inflated. When I'm putting the tires on, or the tubes inside the tires, one thing I would recommend doing is setting it to like 8 PSI, just so you can get some shape on the tube, and then roll it into the tire itself. And then as you're making sure the tire is in place, or the tube is in place in the tire, basically where you can't see any of the tube, you roll it all the way down. I always start my roll at the top of the tire or the wheel. What I consider the top of the wheel is you got the tube valve that sits on the bottom. Just how my square little brain works. And I start rolling it over. Once I get to where that valve stem is, that's when I use like those little plastic, these guys, to kind of roll it all the way in. I do deflate the tire after I get to about yay long on the tube. Like when the tube and the valve stem, I usually deflate it just so I have a little bit more room to roll that tire onto the rim. Just a quick tip. But these work really well, mainly because you can, for me, I can apply more leverage and kind of a little bit of sliding force, if that makes any sense at all. K-tape. Any athlete, I don't care if you're a basketball player, a skier, rugby player, whatever, any para-athlete, K-tape is something that is important to have, especially for our shoulders, sometimes our backs, sometimes our legs, mainly your shoulders, your lats. K-tape's a huge thing. I usually carry 3 to 5. I usually have 2 or 3 in my gym bag of tubes, but I almost always have somewhere around 5 or 6 sets of tubes, that I take to tournaments. My daughter and I both run 25-inch tires on our rugby chairs, so it's kind of one of those things that I end up going through. Last week, and I went through 4 tubes, which for a rugby tournament, that's not bad for two rugby chairs. Air pressure pump for your balls, or your rugby ball, volleyball, basketball, whatever. The other thing not to forget at home, is this. This is a charger for the battery. Guess what? It's $80 with the extra battery. Found that one out. That was not a expected purchase. Also like these guys. This is for skateboards, but they offered a couple different sizes of bolt sizes. I also have my spare just rec spec basic stuff. The other thing I carry, and this is more, this is the oh shit box of the world. Basically, it's got the extra parts and bits. I've also got some screws, my bearings. This is also where I keep my secondary finger latch stuff, bearings. I've got bolts. I've got different sizes of nuts. So this is something I do carry, and I was kind of concerned that I wasn't going to use it, but I have used it every single tournament, which is awesome. The other thing that I like having, drugs, actually Tylenol. Almost always have ibuprofen, Tylenol. I like the children dosage, mainly because most of the time when I'm doing a workout, I don't want to be too foggy. So I like having the ability to do that. The one last thing, type thing, is you should always have some sort of med kit, especially for like wheelchair basketball, wheelchair sports in general. You're going to get your fingers caught. Just have a little basic med kit. In my med kit, usually I have Band-Aids and small different assortment of Band-Aids. I just found my additional multi-tool and Imodium AD. It's another thing that I carry, and that's just because I have a weird stomach and it's so so in a nutshell, that's what I carry. I know that was kind of a long video. 10 minutes, 11 minutes worth of video is a long time. So hopefully you learned something. Hopefully I talk quick enough to not bore you to death.